myself Vishal Bhatnagar. In this session, we will be continuing our discussion on the classification process. So, another classifier which we normally use in our modeling process is nothing but the Bayesian classifier, also called as a naive Bayes classifier. Now, I was going through the literatures, and a very interesting thing came into picture. What so naive about naive? Why we called it a naive Bayesian classifier? See, the very important aspect which has been taken care in the case of our naive Bayes theorem is naive Bayes classifier is, when we say it is a naive has a grammatical meaning which says immature है. जैसे इसका सिंपल उदाहरण दें कि हमें बचपन में ये बताया गया कि भाई मून जो है चीज़ से बना हुआ है, चीज़ है, चीज़ से बना हुआ है. तो दिस इज़ एन इमेच्योर illusion or immature things which are there in our mind, and we carry on. It hardly matters whether it is correct or not. लेटर ऑन भी हम इस पर डिस्कशन नहीं करते हैं. बोलने को हम बोलते हैं चंदा मामा है, लेकिन दैट इज़ एन इमेच्योर डिसीजन और इमेच्योर थिंग. यहाँ पे जो है, जब हम यहाँ बात करते हैं तो ये क्लासीफायर डिसीजन ट्री क्लासीफायर से डिफरेंट कैसे होता है. वहाँ पे हम ये बोलते हैं कि एक डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल है और बाकी जो इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल है उसको कहीं ना कहीं अफेक्ट कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पे जब हम बेसियन क्लासीफायर की बात करते हैं तो वी से दैट आवर डिपेंडेंसी इज नॉट ऑन दैट, आवर डिपेंडेंसी इज बेसिस ऑफ दैट ऑल द थिंग्स आर इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ ईच अदर. वन हैज़ नथिंग टू डू विद द अदर एस्पेक्ट. So, it has a great applications in our day to day life also. The connection between the attribute set and the class variable is non-deterministic. Now, what do you mean by non-deterministic? When we say it is non-deterministic, that means we want to say that they are independent and they have their independent calculations. For example, here in naive Bayes classifier we use the conditional probability of x when y has already occurred. So, what is the probability when y has already occurred? What is the probability which we will get for the variable or attribute or the feature x? So, in that case here it is naive, that is immature, cannot be deterministic, it has to be non-deterministic only, and in most of the cases it comes up with a good result provided we know whether to apply Bayesian network or not. Second very important is, we for example consider the task of predicting the occurrence of whether an individual is at risk for certain diseases on the basis of eating habits and all that. This can be very well easily predicted using our Bayesian classifier. So, as I said, it is based on the conditional probability, that probability of x and y has occurred. This we have already the formula we have gone through in our childhood classes when we deal with the probability. So, nothing to be discussed in as such, but this the important aspect which has to be taken care while we discuss Bayesian network is, this is based on the independent aspect, that whenever the calculations or the probability is being carried out, this is independent of the other. So, here if you see the tossing of a coin, it is a very good example which we are discussing here, tossing of a coin. See, whenever we toss a coin, the probability has to be 50%, that is, it can be head also and it can be tail also, and we never say that it is always going to be head or always going to be tail. That is the reason we say that probability of this coin which has been tossed is nothing but 50. But the same event, when the same event is being carried n number of times, then the dependency comes into picture, which is again dependency is not coming in technical reason, but when we say if the coin is flipped number of times, then the outcomes are observed and the degree of belief may rise, fall, remain the same depending on the outcome. Why we are saying the degree of belief? Why believe? Because it is immature, it is not on the data's authenticity, it is not on the basis of that it is going to happen every time. But as rightly said, in the case of probability, nothing can be said other than in case of tossing a coin, that it has to come more the maximum by 50% for head or 50% for the tail. But अगर एक ही सिक्के को बार बार उछालेंगे, तो उसके बिलीव जो होगा आपका कि ये हेड आएगा, बढ़ सकता है, टेल आएगा, बढ़ सकता है, या दोनों में से किसी एक का घट सकता है, बढ़ सकता है. And this is the reason why we apply this theorem, and this is predominantly applied in the case of designing a hypothesis. Now, this is a technical term which comes into picture, that is what is an hypothesis. Hypothesis is certain assumptions which we do when we go for a statistical analysis of the data. See, there are two approaches which we follow in data analysis. One is by the sample which is available with us. In the case of Bayesian network, that case comes into picture. When we say we have an n amount of data, as we are already been discussing long, if we have n amount of data, then this is if we take n 1 amount out of it, which is a subset of this, then we say the n 1 is nothing but a sample, and out of the sample we take certain n 1 and we try to develop certain hypothesis which says nothing but a predefined assumptions or predefined work which we have taken into our case. For example, let us design an hypothesis that as the exams are near, so students coming to the class will be less, as the exams are scheduled after 10 days or 2 days, the students की possibility कॉलेज में आने की कम है. तो ये हमारा hypothesis है. This is the hypothesis which I assume to be there. अब now this has to be tested out of the past data which is available of the student, that is nothing but n. Out of that n I may take n 1 or I may take n depending upon the amount of the data and the sample size which I want to take. On that data I will test this hypothesis. If this hypothesis proves to be okay, then we say our hypothesis, that is also called as a null hypothesis, is being validated. Null hypothesis is being validated. या तो जो हमने सोचा था वो करेक्ट होगा या तो वो गलत होगा. अगर गलत होगा तो हम उसका उल्टा हो जाएगा कि भाई इट हैज़ नो रिलेशन. दैट मीन्स द एग्जामिनेशन शेड्यूल्ड एंड द क्लासेस टू बी हेल्ड ड्यूरिंग 1 वीक, इट हैज़ नो कोरिलेशन, जो हम लोग पहले ही पढ़ चुके हैं कोरिलेशन. तो वो दोनों में कोई रिलेशन नहीं है. तो देन अल्टरनेटिव हाइपोथेसिस विल कम इनटू पिक्चर दैट दे हैव नो कोरिलेशन, हेंस डिनाइड व्हाटएवर द अल्टरनेट हाइपोथेसिस इज सेइंग, और जो मैंने कहा है वो बात सही होगी. सो इट इज अगेन ए बिलीव. So, Bayesian theorem normally it works very well when we talk about the degree of belief which we are going to have. Yeah. So, now coming to the how we have already discussed two methods by which we can go for the classification. One was the decision tree formation and another was the Bayesian network. Now, there are other classifiers also. Now, let us come to the basic. There can be n number of algorithms, n number of ways by which you can build a classifier and can be used to predict the data. But again the question which I have said in my first class or the first lecture pertaining to the algorithm, what I said was it depends upon the accuracy of the classifier. Now, how to check the accuracy? There are certain methods which we have predicted here: holdout method, random sampling, subsampling, cross validation. These are the methods which are being statistically applied to check whether our output is coming to, whether model is giving a performing very well or not. On the basis of this holdout methods or the cross validation, what we do? We have an n sample available, we divide it into 80-20 and this 80 will be used for training and this 20 will be used for our testing. So, this is the normal method where we carry out the work. In the case of cross validation, if we say this n is being divided into n 1, n 2, n 3 up to n 5 and this fifth one is used for your testing and remaining 4 are used for your training. In the next iteration, this is first iteration, in the next iteration maybe this may be used for the training and rest will be used for the testing. So, training for this may be used for the training and n 4 will be used for testing. So, in all the iterations and next iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration, what we will do is we will try to change the data according to the training or testing. So, this is another way of cross validation. This is called cross validation. Another example is bootstrap. So, another example is confidence interval also. See how these things are different. In the case which I have denoted in our earlier slide, this one hypothesis, here if you see we have developed an hypothesis. Now, I said या तो हाइपोथेसिस सही होगी या तो गलत होगी. अब ये कैसे पता चल रहा है कि सही है कि गलत है? ये तो ह्यूमन नहीं कर रहे हैं. दिस नॉट बीन डन बाय ह्यूमन, दिस बीन डन बाय द कंप्यूटर फॉर विच यू आर बिल्डिंग ए पर्टिकुलर एल्गोरिथम. So, statistically we say there is a level of confidence that is called level of statistical significance, LOS. लेवल ऑफ स्टैटिस्टिकल सिग्निफिकेंस. स्टैटिस्टिकली ये हम डिफाइन करते हैं level of statistical significance. Level of statistical significance says that we are confident that if our data or our predictor is able to classify without any error up to 95% chance, then we say plus minus 5% is allowed. That means simple शब्दों में अगर समझें कि अगर कोई हमने डेटा लिया, उस पर हमने क्लासीफायर बनाया, अब क्लासीफायर बनाने के बाद जब वो हम टेस्टिंग कर रहे हैं तो 95% चांस में रिजल्ट एक्यूरेट आ रहा है, 5% चांस या 4% चांस, 3% चांस, 1% चांस पे रिजल्ट ऊपर नीचे आ रहा है. सो दिस 5% इज द लिबर्टी विच वी आर ट्राइंग टू टेक. इज दिस लिबर्टी अलाउड और नॉट? दैट इज अगेन ए क्वेश्चनेबल थिंग. See, case to case it depends, application to application it depends. Level of statistical significance on a normal condition is taken to be 5%, that is 5%. Okay. So, 5%, why do we take 5%? Here level of statistical significance, here we take 5%. 5% means 5% error is allowed, and still our classifier is good and the confidence level interval is very high. That depends upon the application. Now, if it is a real time application where the error of 0.1% is also not allowed, in that case if you take a 5% error, that will be a big drastic fault at your end. तो बहुत बड़ा फॉल्ट हो जाएगा आपका. वो जो आपका हाइपोथेसिस था, वो वैलिडेशन जो था, वो प्रोसेस ही गलत हो जाएगा. So, deciding on the LOS, level of statistical significance, is dependent on primarily the aspect of the application which you are taking into consideration. If it is a real time application, you need to have as much low error as possible. वो आपको डिसाइड करना है कि वो एरर का लेवल क्या होगा. आप मीन्स द पर्सन हु इज एनालाइजिंग और द स्टैटिस्टिशियन हु इज एनालाइजिंग दिस डेटा, ही मे फिक्स एट 1%. भाई इससे ज़्यादा ऊपर की हम एरर नहीं बर्दाश्त कर सकते, देन ही हैज़ टू फिक्स दैट. Most of the case or thumb rule says we normally go for 5% of level of statistical significance or the confidence level which we take. Similarly, we have other comparing classifiers also. Receiver operating curve, this is ROC curve. This is another way of indicating how the classifier is behaving. This is something like this. If this is the way we make, there may be this classifier, there may be this classifier. How to predict which classifier is better? So, ROC curves help us in this manner to find out which classifier is much better than the another one. Now, this is again used for our classifier evaluation matrix, that is also called as the confusion matrix. Confusion matrix के नाम से confuse मत होइएगा कि भाई ये confusion create करेगी. This is not creating confusion. Why we are using this is, you see there are two terms which are used here, actual and predicted. This is the predicted one, this is the actual one. That means actual जो वहाँ के डेटा 80% जो डेटा आपने लिया था उसमें जो आ रहा था वो वैल्यू क्या थी, ठीक है, और उसकी जो आपने जब क्लासीफाई किया उसको 20% से, तो उसकी 80% पे एक तो क्लासीफायर बनाया आपने. क्लासीफायर बनाने के बाद जो रिजल्ट निकल के आया, अगर मैंने कहा कि भाई ये पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए था और डेटा के हिसाब से भी, और वो पॉजिटिव निकल के आपके क्लासीफायर के द्वारा आ रहा है, दैट मीन्स वॉट एवर आई हैव सेड सीम्स टू बी ट्रू पॉजिटिव. सो दिस इज वॉट इंपॉर्टेंट इज. अगर मैंने कहा था वो पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए था और वो नेगेटिव आ रहा है, तो दैट मीन्स दिस इज ए फॉल्स क्लासिफिकेशन. सिमिलरली अगर वो नेगेटिव होना चाहिए था और वो पॉजिटिव आ रहा है, नेगेटिव होना चाहिए था, पॉजिटिव आ रहा है, नेगेटिव होना चाहिए था, नेगेटिव आ रहा है. नेगेटिव कोई भी चीज़ को नेगेटिव आ रहा है, ठीक है. फॉर एग्जांपल हमने बोला कि एक कैंसरियस चीज़ को डिटेक्ट कर रहे हैं ट्यूमर को, अगर हिस्ट्री ये कहती है, पास डेटा ये कहता है कि जिसको डिटेक्ट किया है वो एक्चुअली में कैंसरियस है, तो आप जो आपका मॉडल करके दे रहा है वो भी वही आ रहा है जो आप कर रहे हो, दैट मीन्स दैट इज करेक्ट रिजल्ट. लेकिन अगर मॉडल डिटेक्ट नहीं कर रहा है उसको नेगेटिव कर दे रहा है, तो दैट इज ए नेगेटिव केस. अगर कोई नेगेटिव था उसको पॉजिटिव कर दे रहा है, देन अगेन इज दिस इज द केस. और अगर कोई नेगेटिव था उसको नेगेटिव दिखा दे रहा है, तो दिस इज ऑल्सो ए गुड केस, दिस इज ए गुड केस. सो एक्चुअली एट द एंड ऑफ द डे दिस इज प्राइम इंपॉर्टेंट कि जो केसेस हमारे पॉजिटिव थे एक्चुअली, अगर उनको क्लासीफायर पॉजिटिव दिखा पा रहा है, दैट मीन्स द एक्यूरेसी इज गुड, जो विच इज बीन कैलकुलेटेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ this thing. We calculate the two values, exactness and the completeness. Completeness means what actually is required, that is called as a recall, which is calculated on the basis of true positive, that is here these values are coming from here, true positive this value, then true positive by true positive plus false negative. So, what is that false negative? This one. So, this by this plus this. So, this is going to give you the completeness, the recall which is required. Now, what actually is the precise value which is coming, exactness which is coming is nothing but decided by the true positive, again true positive you have to check which is true positive. This is the true positive which I said this is of significance. So, all the calculations whether recall or precision is being calculated on the basis of the this value, that is true positive only. So, this is the way we calculate the exactness and the completeness of the given element, and we also calculate the accuracy. Accuracy has to be calculated on the total amount of data which we have. Let us say we have the total amount of data n. So, this will be the accuracy will be calculated on the basis of the true positive and the true negative. So, on the basis of that we can calculate the accuracy of this model also. This is the way normally it is being calculated, the precision and the recall which are very important. So, in this module what we have done is we are in this module we have discussed about the Bayesian classifier, which is again naive Bayes classifier also called as, which is dependent on the conditional probability. Then we have seen that their classifier we have to classify on their basis of accuracy, which can be taken care by the this level of statistical significance. We have confusion matrix where we calculate precision, where we calculate the recall, we calculate the F measure. So, this is the way we calculate the model's accuracy, which is very important, because once the model is accurate, precise, then only it will be able to predict for the future values. In this session of our lecture, we will be discussing what clustering is, why it is used, where we can use, what are the algorithms behind clustering. Then we will be discussing about a very important topic, that is called recommender systems, how it works, how it is been classified, and in that way we will be ending our session. So, coming to the first thing, what is clustering? क्लस्टरिंग, अगर क्लस्टरिंग को सिंपल शब्दों में समझाया जाए तो क्लस्टरिंग का मीन्स सेगमेंटेशन और डिवाइडिंग द ग्रुप्स, जिसको ग्रुप कहते हैं वो है। सिंपल उदाहरण जिसका मैंने आपको पिछले स्लाइडों में भी दिया है, जब हम फर्स्ट ईयर में एज ए स्टूडेंट आते हैं, सो वी ऑल आर लाइक दिस, वी ऑल आर लाइक दिस। हर स्टूडेंट वहाँ पे सारे फलों जैसा दिखाई जो दे रहा है उस तरह से होता है। अब आगे चल के जब सेकंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में आते हैं, कभी किसी स्टूडेंट को फाइंड करना है तो सिंपल क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है, भाई राम कहाँ मिलेगा? तो जो जिससे पूछते हैं उसके दिमाग में ये आता है कि भाई राम किसके साथ रहता है? अच्छा, वो श्याम के साथ मिलता है, श्याम आई हैव सीन देयर, दैट मीन्स एक दोनों का ग्रुप है। तो वो धीरे धीरे होकर सेग्रीगेट हो जाता है, जिसको हमने यहाँ पे वो किया है कि जितने फल हैं उन फलों को अलग अलग कैटेगरी में हमने डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया है। तो दिस इज व्हाट द लेमन टर्मिनोलॉजी अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट एक्चुअली इज क्लस्टरिंग, दैट इज फॉर्मिंग ए ग्रुप, फॉर्मिंग ए क्लस्टर, फॉर्मिंग ए सेगमेंट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ सर्टन फीचर्स विच फीचर्स आर सिमिलर। जैसे वो हमने सिंपल उदाहरण दिया, उसमें भाई दो लोग फ्रेंड क्यों हैं? दो फ्रेंड इसलिए हैं क्योंकि दोनों की कहीं ना कहीं विचारधारा मिलती है, दैट इज द रीजन दे आर टू फ्रेंड्स। सो दिस इज द वे और द बेसिस ऑफ विच we define the clustering. But the broad why we discuss here clustering is, this is one of the methodology which is not supervised, this is an unsupervised learning, where imagine a situation जो आपको यहाँ फिगर में भी दिख रही है कि बहुत सारे फ्रूट्स हैं, अब ये फ्रूट्स दे दिए गए, this is nothing but the raw data. Now you need to find out certain important information out of it. Now that important information has to be in this form, that is segregation of these fruits into separate categories, which can be done easily using our unsupervised learning technique, that is also called as clustering. So, this is basically an unlabeled data. Unlabeled data means we are not building here a model which we have done in the case of classification. We are not building a classifier on the basis of whose accuracy has to be taken care, and after that a novel new algorithm, new data will come that needs to be predicted. This is not at all the case here. It is raw data available, and we need to find certain nuggets out of that particular data which is available to us, for the which example is already being stated. Now, coming to why do we require this? We require this because in business many a times we require that the grouping of the customer should be done on the basis of their behavior. The example has already been given to you that कि दो स्टूडेंट हैं, दोनों में कुछ सिमिलरिटी है, दोनों की विचारधारा मिलती है, इसलिए एक ग्रुप में डाल दिया गया. तो उसी तरीके से इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट आवर system of business, in business you will come across many things like that. We need to form the groups with the similar behavior that is required, similar features, feature extraction on the basis of similar values, that is we can classify the animals on the basis of their features, as classification of animals into reptile, mammals, birds, fish, etc. So, this is the way we require these things in our business to be catered to segmentation of the same data into n number of categories. Now, the very important thing is how to decide this n. This is what we are going to discuss in the our classes in further lectures. Now, these are the applicative areas or the application of clustering. May it be marketing, where we are dividing the customers database into according to their buying pattern, we are classifying them, or we are segregating them. For the insurance, which type of policies will be purchased by which person, the group of insurance policies which can cater to particular person. You might have seen, if you go to a particular site for buying, if you purchase X, the people will say ki there are other things also which can be which can be purchased. So, they are being grouped together, so that you come to know that these are the things which can be easily used. So, in the case of insurance, it is in use. In the case of seismographic studies, this has been used. In the case of land, it has been used on the basis of the geographical data. The clustering can be very well applied. So, broadly seeing, this is the way we divide the data into matrix form, जिसको हम लोग पहले भी पढ़ चुके हैं, row column format. So, this is the basis of data matrix creation, which is being given data input, and the similarity or the groupism in the case of computer is been done on the basis of matrix or the distance calculation और द सिमिलरिटी रेशो. सिमिलरिटी यहाँ पे जो कैलकुलेट की जाती है वो नियरनेस से कैलकुलेट की जाती है कि कितनी दूरी पे है. वो दूरी कैलकुलेट करने के लिए दैट इज़ नथिंग बट द डिस्टेंस विच वी अप्लाई. सो this is the way we go on in the case of clustering. Now, coming into the classification of clustering algorithms, they are broadly being classified into two types. Here I have used another one also. So, broadly it is here I have classified into three types, that is the hierarchical clustering, non-hierarchical also called as the exclusive clustering, and the third one is the overlapping clustering. So, how these three are different? If you see the example here, you will come to know that in the case of an exclusive clustering, if we say the data is n here, if we say data is n. So, this n I will divide into three clusters 0, 1 and 2. There will be no overlapping here. If the data belongs to this group, it will not belong to this, it neither belong to this. This means that is an exclusive to a particular cluster. So, this is what we do in the case of clustering, of exclusive clustering, where the data is segregated into a single cluster rather than a different cluster. Second is the your overlapping cluster. Here you see this 2 is this whole data which we have said here to be n is broadly been divided into two clusters. Again you see these two dots, these are coming to be an overlapping between this cluster and this cluster. That means nearness to this cluster is also high and nearness to this cluster is also high, while that is not the case with our exclusive clustering. And the third one is called the hierarchical clustering, where the hierarchical clustering says we make a dendrogram. This is called dendrogram. Dendrograms are used to decide parent child type of relationship as far as the clusters are concerned, parent child type of relationship. So, how we build up this hierarchical clustering or overlapping clustering or exclusive clustering is a matter of our discussion. Now, first of all, coming to the k mean clustering, this k mean clustering here very important to understand. This is a very famous modeling algorithm which is being used whenever we talk about the clustering. The very first name of the algorithm which comes into picture is the k mean clustering. As the name suggests, there are two important things to be taken care here. One, the k, what is k? Another is the mean, what is mean? And the third one, it is self explanatory. We are dealing with our clustering algorithm, so it has to be a clustering algorithm. So, how it is being divided into k mean clustering. So, here the k means the number of clusters, as we have seen here, here it is 3 clusters, here it is 2 clusters. So, when we talk about a cluster, the value of k here will be 3, here the value of cluster will be 2. So, in the similar fashion, when we talk about here k mean clustering, we need to understand the value of k on the basis of which this whole algorithm will work. In our cases which we have defined here, we will say either there will be 2 clusters, there will be 2 clusters, 3 clusters, 4 clusters or n clusters depending upon our need. So, very first question which will come in your mind is how to decide whether to go for k is equal to 2, 3, 4. कैसे पता चलेगा कि कितने क्लस्टर में डिवाइड करना है. जैसे जो मैंने उदाहरण दिया था, आप वही उदाहरण मुझे देख के पूछ सकते हैं कि भाई ये जो आपने बोला कि राम और श्याम दोनों एक साथ रहते हैं, ये तो शुरू में नहीं पता, हो सकता है राम श्याम रहीम भी हों तीनों एक साथ. सो हाउ टू नो व्हाट एक्चुअली इज द वैल्यू ऑफ k. This I will tell you once we complete this k mean clustering, but right now the matter to understand is this, it consists of two things. One, the k, that is we have decided that it is to be the number of clusters which has to be used. Mean is being calculated on the basis of the, here in clustering, as I said, we need to go for the distance measure. The distance measures decide the similarity between the variables which are being used. So, here you see the process by which objects are classified into predefined number of groups, that groups are the k, that they are similar or dissimilar to one group. If they are dissimilar, they will belong to the another group. Object in one group would be similar to as much possible to other object in the same group, but may be different from the other. So, this is the way we divide this. So, basically if you see, clustering is subjective, that means if we see the diagram, you see here the number of people are being there. Now, this we have been classified into 2 clusters here and here also 2 clusters. Why these 2 clusters are different? These clusters are different in the sense that this is the categorization done on certain basis, that is on the basis of dividing the Simpsons family or the school employee. This is the separate division, that person may belongs to this person or this place or this place. Similarly, the division is on the basis of male or female. So, clustering is subjective on the basis of what we actually want to retrieve out of the given data. So, this is the place where we wanted to know how our k mean algorithm works: initialization, cluster assignment, moving the centroid, optimization and then the convergence. So, initially as I said, randomly initialize k point called the cluster centroid. So, initially when we say we are taking the cluster k value to be equal to, let us say is equal to 2. So, that means there will be 2 clusters. So, on the basis of these 2 clusters, how are we going to form the values? So, all the points, all the values, let us say we have a 2 dimensional point. So, naturally one point will be there p 1 1 comma 2, that means this is the x coordinate and the y coordinate of that particular point. So, this p 1 will either lie in this, p 1 will either lie in this. So, now to check whether the p 1 will, this point p 1 will go here or will it go here, will depend upon the distance from this place to this place and from this place to this place, on the basis of which its categorization will be done. So, this here we use the Euclidean distance method or the other distance formulas like Euclidean, Chebyshev, Manhattan distance method. Any distance formula can be used to calculate whether this point will belong to the cluster k 1 or will belong to the cluster 2. So, this is the way we calculate and move on in the case of k mean algorithm. Now, this is the way just which we have said, initialize the k mean with a random value, okay, for a given number of iterations, iterate through items, find the mean closest to the item, assign item to mean and update the same. This is what we have indicated here in this diagram. This is the way our k mean algorithms work. Now, coming to the clustering algorithms of hierarchical in nature, here I have said this we need to make a dendrogram out of it, and dendrogram we can start either from the root or we can start from the leaf. When we start from the leaf, then we go and accumulate all the things up to this level. These are the individual points which will be clustered, in the case of here as one single node. This will be the one cluster. Individually when we start, if we start from here and go like this, वी विल हैव इंडिविजुअल पॉइंट एज सिंगल क्लस्टर्स. दिस आर द इंडिविजुअल पॉइंट. ये सारे इंडिविजुअल पॉइंट हैं जो अपने आप में शुरू में एक क्लस्टर है और ये अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर सिमिलरिटी दे आर बीन ग्रुप्ड एंड दिस कम्स टू एन एंड. दिस इज व्हाट द हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग इज. If we say we have not started from the root this bottom, then we go for the divisive method. In that method we say all are been clubbed into one and now their segregation is been done on the basis of individual point till further demarcation is not at all possible. So, this is the way we can go for hierarchical clustering also, where we try to make a dendrogram out of it either in a divisive manner or in an agglomerative manner, that is top to bottom or from bottom to top. So, this is the distance way how close two clusters are. That is what I have shown in our this slide also, this one. So, this is the basis of which our this values are being calculated here, distance method. We can have other methods also to calculating the same. This is pure mathematical based on centroid that we calculate these values. Now, coming to the third one, that was overlapping. Now, in the case of fuzzy C mean clustering, here you can see the name has already been there, fuzzy. Okay. Actually, when we talk about the fuzzy itself, it becomes that it is not crisp, we are not certain, and that is the reason we talk about the fuzzy C mean. Is just an extension of the K mean, work in the similar fashion. The only difference is when we talk about the distance measure here, when we talk about the distance measure here, here you see the distance measure does not means that this is more close to this. So, it will be assigned to this place only. Here the case is that it is not a case of 50-50 or it is not a case of 0.6 and 0.4, it is a case that it is lying in mid or probably it has an affiliation towards this place or this place and it is not crisp. When the data is structured in nature, at that time you do not go for a fuzzy C mean clustering method. Fuzzy C mean clustering method is applied when you are not sure about the data's actual nature and you are not having a crisp information about its exactness here, this place. So, in that case you prefer it to be included as a overlapping between the two clusters. So, we say fuzzy C mean clustering is used in a manner much precise as we are using for the K mean clustering. The with the only difference is here the data's nature is exactly not structured, crisp, and that is the reason we are using here fuzzy C mean clustering rather than K mean clustering. Now, another important thing which comes into our discussion, which I have said I will discuss with you, that is regarding the K value of K. How do we come to K? Now, coming to the K, we use a method that is called as an elbow method. Here what we do is we iterate with our algorithm of changing the value of K, so that we get a graph which looks like an elbow and which clearly indicate the point from where the performance get deteriorating, and point from where the performance get deteriorating is the value of K which is ideally suited to be applied in the case of elbow method for choosing the right value of K. However, K mean clustering has its own disadvantages which has been overcome in further algorithms like two step clustering process is there, where in first step or iteration we try to find out actually how many what is the ideal value of K, and in the second step the K mean process of centroid calculation and all this is being carried out. So, this is what we understand about the clustering. So, we have discussed two supervised clustering as a supervised unsupervised learning method, and prior lecture we have already discussed about classification method, how classifier model is been built. Now, coming to another important topic which is right now of great importance, that is the recommender systems. Now, what are recommender systems? See, recommender systems as you might be knowing, फ्राइडे को जब मूवी रिलीज़ होती है उसके 1 या 2 घंटे के बाद you get the recommendation whether the movie is correct, good or not, you get a rating out of that particular movie. तो आपने कभी सोचा है कि किसी चीज़ की रेटिंग कैसे की जाती है? हाउ द रिकमेंडेशन इज़ बीन गिवन कि ये मूवी सही है, गलत है, या कोई प्रोडक्ट है वो अच्छा रेटेड है, कोई होटल है उसकी रेटिंग आप चेक करते हैं, अगर रेटिंग अच्छी नहीं होती तो उस होटल में नहीं जाते. दिस इज़ प्योरली बेस्ड ऑन आवर रिकमेंडर system. So, how the recommender system work is, this is the phase of recommendation system. As known, first of all the data needs to be collected, which is our prime aim and which we have been discussing in our whole lecture. So, first important phase is collecting the information, that is information collection phase. Once the information is being collected, we need to have a learning phase into that, that is nothing but the inclusion of the machine learning phase, so that we learn from that algorithm. We have to, this is the modeling phase where we model and try to predict, and from the next onwards, that is the prediction and recommendation phase, we try to recommend the thing, and whatever we have recommended, whether it is correct or not, and what actually is the opinion of the people to whom we have recommended, that will be going as a feedback back to the system, so that realignment also, जिसको कहते हैं हम लोग weight reassign करना, that we can do in the case of phases of recommendation system. So, basically it consists of 3 phases, which first of all the collection of the data pertaining to the result or the recommendation which we want to make, that is deciding on the data, pre-processing it, and then finally modeling it, modeling के बाद उसको predict करना कि what can be there. So, recommendation system is basically, as we have discussed, is divided into 3 phases, that is information collection phase, where we have to collect the data. Second is a learning phase using learning algorithm, which we have gone through, and many other algorithms. There is no limit to the algorithms which are depending upon the nature of the data, as we have already discussed. We need to extract the features, relevant features, which will assess us to decide about or give a recommendation about particular thing. कोई भी चीज़ को हम अगर मैनुअली भी ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन के हिसाब से भी देखें तो हम रिकमेंड कैसे करते हैं, हमें या तो चीज़ अच्छी लग रही है तो ख़राब लग रही है, अच्छी लग रही है तो हम अच्छा रिकमेंड करेंगे, ख़राब लग रही है तो हम ख़राब रिकमेंड करते हैं, उसके पॉइंट्स उसके हिसाब से रेटिंग करते हैं. तो दैट इज़ व्हाट द लर्निंग फेज फॉर आवर कंप्यूटर सिस्टम इज़. एंड देन दिस में एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, दैट इज़ द गिविंग द फीडबैक बैक, because once the feedback is been given, this is been retrained. Once it is been retrained, your output is going to be much better in the next stage. वो बोलते हैं ना तजुर्बा, यहाँ पे भी अगेन तजुर्बा, ये तजुर्बा जो इंसान का होता है वो यहाँ पे फीडबैक है. अगेन गोइंग टू द बैक टू द लूप, एज वी हैव सेड हियर, इट इज गोइंग बैक टू द इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्शन फेज एंड एक्टिंग एज ए सब्सटेंशियल मटीरियल अगेन फॉर आवर फर्दर डिसीजंस इन द नेक्स्ट फेज. ठीक है. So, recommender systems we are broadly divided into 3 parts, roughly saying there are only 2 only, third one is a mixture of first 2. If you are able to understand what is content based methods and the collaborative filtering method, then we can easily understand the difference between the two. In the case of content based method, we define a model for user item interaction. User item interaction. So, user item interaction define a model for user item interaction where user and or item representations are given. That means एक user क्या सामान ले रहा है, जो सामान ले रहा है वो item है, जो user है वो तो जो buying pattern उसका decide हो रहा है. तो on the basis of that we decide in the case of content based method, while in the case of collaborative filtering they are again subdivided into 2 methods, that is the model based and the memory based. In the case of a model based, a pure model is been defined where we do not find the buying pattern the relation, we simply take a user and an item interface interaction and been given to a learning algorithm, and it will try to find out the solution out of it in a collaborative manner. While in the case of a memory based method, we purely depend upon the already existing material and on the basis of the similarity we take the decision. This is purely on the basis of whatever is there in my mind. जिसकी एक एनालॉजी सिंपल है कि अगर हमारे दिमाग में कोई चीज़ बसी हुई है और हम किसी नई चीज़ को पढ़ रहे हैं तो जो हमारे दिमाग में है उसके बेसिस में हम उसका बना लेंगे, उसमें हम कोई लर्निंग का एल्गोरिथम नहीं लगाएंगे, मॉडलिंग नहीं लगाएंगे, जो हमारे दिमाग की कैपेबिलिटी उसके हिसाब से हम उसको सोच के कैटेगराइज कर देंगे कि भैया ये रिकमेंडेड अच्छा है या ये रिकमेंडेड खराब है. दैट मीन्स दैट इज प्योरली मेमोरी बेस्ड. So, and the collaboration of both is nothing but the another model, that is the hybrid model. So, this is what it is there. In the case of content based, it is a domain dependent algorithm that emphasis on the analysis of attributes of data item for predicting or recommendations such as web pages, publications, publication, news. That is a domain dependent. Domains mean when we talk about movie, that is a separate domain. When we talk about the buying pattern, that is, or e-commerce, that is a separate pattern. So, on the basis of a domain we decide the content based filtering, because there, why we say domain, because there the keyword will matter. जो कीवर्ड होटल के रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम के लिए आएंगे वो रिकमेंडेशन आपके ई कॉमर्स के दूसरे चीज़ों के लिए नहीं आ सकते हैं। हो सकता है मूवी के लिए जो रिकमेंडेशन के लिए जो कीवर्ड्स आएंगे वो आपको ई कॉमर्स या होटल के रिकमेंडेशन के लिए ना मिले। इसीलिए यहाँ पे जो कहा जाता है डोमेन डिपेंडेंट एल्गोरिथम्स आर बीन यूज्ड। Now in the case of collaborative filtering, it is a domain independent for the data that cannot be accurately determined by a metadata or the data which is by itself for prediction such as movies or music. तो इस चीज़ के लिए हम लोग collaborative filtering को यूज़ करते हैं। सब डिवीजन हमने पहले ही इसका देख लिया है। So now as we have made a classifier, we have used classification and we have checked the accuracy of it. Similarly, रिकमेंडर सिस्टम जो होता है उसका इवैल्यूएशन कैसे हो सकता है? सिंपल, एक तो ह्यूमन बेस्ड इवैल्यूएशन कि अगर सिंपल है रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम तो इसको ह्यूमन बेस्ड में भी इंटरेक्शन किया जा सकता है। बट मैट्रिक बेस्ड में वी यूज मीन स्क्वायर एरर for calculation of the matrix based evaluation of a particular recommendation system as rating matching probability or rating the prediction, as we can access the quality of that particular output. So as far as our evaluation or recommender system is concerned, one is based on the matrix, that is the mean square error method, and another is based on the human based evaluation, which is we want to recommend item that both suits user very well and that two are similar by nature, that two are similar from each other, require properties such as diversity and expandability. So in broad sense what we can say is, in matrix based evaluation we are more inclined towards the mean square error, which is not the case with the human based evaluation. So coming to the end of this session or lecture, what we have discussed in this lecture, let me sum up that. We started with what actually is an unsupervised learning technique, that is clustering, how it is been broadly done, what is the measure of doing it. Then we have discussed the three type of clustering, that is the exclusive, overlapping and the our hierarchical clustering, k mean clustering, how do we choose k. Then we move to the fuzzy C mean clustering, which is an again overlapping case, and then we have seen how the dendrogram comes into picture in the case of hierarchical clustering. And after that we come to a very important topic, that was the recommender system, where we come across the three stages through which a recommender system is being evolved and the feedback goes back to the learning phase, so that again and again it can be learned. Thank you very much, hope to meet you again.